welcome back to another vlog. I know it's been quite a while since I posted a budget build vlog. That's because I've been off work having an operation and it's a bad time of year to be buying stuff. However, today we're going to try and carbon fibre skim the interior door handles. I've bought this little kit off eBay. It's one of the more expensive ones. Was about 50 quid, but it's the only one that comes with like a full guide of what to do. If you've watched my previous vlogs, you'll know that I tried to carbon fibre wrap them, but the ends just weren't good enough for me. So I'm going to try and skim them with real carbon fibre. I did look to see how much these are to buy in carbon fibre, but you're looking at well over 100 quid. So I thought, you know what, I'd rather just have a go myself, and then if it works out I can do other stuff in the future. First things first, with this kit, it does come with everything, including the sanding paper and all of the stuff that you need to finish it. It is a long process, and I have spoke to a few people who've done it before. Shout out to Lewis, who's given me a few tips, and then we'll basically give it a go. See what happens. It might be a disaster, it might work out alright, but these are cheap enough to replace anyway. So the first thing that we need to do is sand all the original plastic bits down. Now, one of the big things after speaking to people is the prep work, so making sure that these are very, very well sanded, so they're very rough, as well as like using a Stanley knife just on the edges, because the first stage is to mix an adhesive which the carbon fibre sticks to, and then for that to stick properly to something like plastic, they need to be really, really rough. And then what I'm going to do as well is, just obviously when they're drying, they're going to need to be stood properly, but they fall over. So my plan is, I'm just going to stick some blue tack with nails on these little placemats, and then stick and hold them like that. So once I've sanded it, we can mix the adhesive, apply the adhesive, and then we need to wait 2 hours. Once we've waited 2 hours, we can then apply the carbon fibre material. One of the other important things is that your room needs to be the same temperature, which is 20 degrees, I believe, is the prime temperature. So I've got our thermostat set to 20, and that should obviously keep the room at one temperature. So what I'll do now is I'll go ahead, I'll give these a good sand. There's no point you really watching that, you all know how to sand stuff. And then once we've sanded it, we'll come back, I'll show you how much I've sanded, so if you want to try and do it yourself in the future, you can see if I've sanded it enough or not enough, and then you know to do more or less or whatever in the future. So we'll get sanding, and then we'll come back to mixing the adhesive. Right, so that's the sanding part complete. If you notice, I swapped from the sanding paper that they give us to some that I already had, because it was a lot rougher, just to increase it. What I didn't realise is these handles have like a rubber coating on them, I guess that's what it is. So you need to really try and get all of that off beforehand. This is, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but that's pretty much how much I've etched them. And now what I'm going to do is go around the edges with a little Stanley blade, just to give it a bit more to stick to as well. So on the little guide video, just goes around and basically scores into the edges like this. So I'll do that around all the edges, and then we'll get on to mixing. But that's what I'm currently doing. You can just see that there. So we'll do that, then we'll make the little stand for them. Like I said before, I'm going to stand them up and then we'll mix our resin. And hopefully by tomorrow we'll be add the next coat. Welcome back. It's time for some confession. It didn't go to plan. Essentially what happened is I mixed the incorrect ratio of the resin with the base coat. I did 3:1 the other way around. So my base coat was really runny and didn't really get tacky. However, I've got one here that is undone and I've tried to re-sand it back but it's still sticky. And then I've got two here which are like kind of half done. The carbon fabric has stuck on, but I needed to trim more of these parts before sticking it down, and I've got another one which I've half done as well. So technically these two are ready for the hardening stage and that one still needs redoing. But obviously the other stages I've not got filmed, so these two I'm just going to leave for now. Put it on my little drying station over there. I'm just going to pop that. And then we're going to try and do this one I've got left, which I don't think is going to turn out very well, simply because it's gone all a bit rough, but I wanted to show you what the official process is anyway, just in case you wanted to try it yourself. But like I say, once it goes to sticky, really hard to sand it down or anything, so there is quite a lot of like bits and stuff in this. So I'm just hoping that the new base coat will be thick enough to kind of cover up all of the bumpy bits, but we'll see. Right then, so stage one is put your little provided gloves on. Now if I was to do this again, or if you're thinking about doing it, get some digital kitchen scales. Don't just use some little crappy ones that act like I have. I think I am going to buy some digital ones because I've still got plenty of carbon fibre fabric left. And I still need to do the driver's interior plastic with the switches on. But obviously I'm going to see how these turn out first. So, what I'm going to do is last time I mixed, I think it was 50 grams, and there's still loads left, but because my scales aren't accurate enough, it's going to be really difficult for me to mix like anything less. So I'm going to mix 40 grams worth, which will be 30 grams the base coat resin and 10 grams this. Now I already know that that's going to be too much, but my scales aren't really good enough to do any less. Otherwise I'd have probably done 20, doing 3 of like 15, base coat 5 the other. I mean, we could try and do that. Shall we give it a go? Because my scales go up in 40s with little 20s in between, so it's really hard to actually see what it is. So that's roughly just below the 20 line. So the good news is as well, with this Easy Composites website, this is just like a kit, but you can bulk buy the rest of the stuff if you wanted to do it again. On the little tutorial video that you get when you buy it, it does tell you to make sure to mix all this in properly. And it should look like a black tar, is the best way to describe it, I think. So I don't know if you can see there. It's like a black tar, like gloss paint basically. Whereas when I mixed it the first time, it was like a grey, light grey. Like I say, this one might not turn out very well because I'm painting over the top of what I've already done. But once you've painted this on, you're supposed to leave it 2 hours or so until it goes sticky, then put the fabric on, then leave it another 8 hours. But my two that I've already done have been sat for ages, and I don't think that makes any difference. So you should be able to just get it like that, and then brush it on as if it's like gloss paint. Now this looks loads better, this looks like it does on the tutorial video. My only concern is obviously my plastic's all bumpy now. It's not smooth, but that might benefit the sticking process anyway. So you have to just try and make sure you don't get any runs or anything. Just gonna layer it on like so. That's that completed. Like I say, it's just as if you're painting a bit of gloss paint on, and this now needs to sit at 20 degrees about 2 hours. Then when we come back, there's a little trick to check if it's sticky enough yet. You should be able to press it with your finger and nothing comes onto your glove, but if you press and hold for a few seconds, then the black stuff comes on your glove. So that's that done. I've set up a little stand for them so they can dry. Now we just wait 2 hours and then I'll show you putting the fabric on, and then probably tomorrow or another day we'll do the hat.